Let us pray. Aramim ka Adonai ki di litani. Adonai Elohai la'olam odeka amen. I will extol you, O Lord, for you have drawn me up. O Lord my God, I will give thanks to you forever. Amen. One of the only textbooks that I can still remember the name of from college is a book called The Read Aloud Handbook, which one of my professors, and I was thinking about it, I can't even remember which class I read it for, made sure that we all read, because the core premise of the book was that the single best thing that you can do for children in their educational lives is to read to them. To read to them early, to read to them often, to just keep reading to them, even when they can read for themselves. So I have pictures of my children being read to on the day that they were born, because I fully embraced this thing. And what I love about this concept is it's easy, right? We can read to our children, and it does so much. It helps with language learning very early on. It exposes our children to a variety of ideas and concepts. It creates the space for quality time. And perhaps most importantly, it instills a community of love and a love of learning in our children. And so, it may be no surprise to you that children's books are one of my favorite things in the whole wide world. I'm pretty sure my children own more books than I do if you take out my entire professional catalog, because clergy libraries are big. But my fun reading books vastly are outnumbered by the number of books my children have. And I keep like a bookshelf worth of children's books in my office at all times, because children's books are just my jam. Let's get real. And so when we look at faith, what I love to do is take some time as school is beginning and look at these children's books through our faith. How it is that we experience these stories and what these stories tell us about God. Because they inspire us as well, inspire us to seek God in new and unique ways, and they remind us that we are all children of God, whether we are newborn babies or much, much older. And so, as school is getting ready to start, as we begin to send our children back into classrooms, it is time, ladies and gentlemen, to look at our children's books through our lens of faith as we take the time to learn and see what we're teaching our children through the books that we read them. So today, our first book is The Forever Tree, written by Teresa Surratt and Donna Lucas. It is a beautiful story of a tree, right? But it's really not about the tree itself. The story is about the community that grows up around the tree and surrounds it with love so that the tree can be strong and proud and grow. And at first in the book, we have those raccoons, those squirrels, and those chipmunks, which all have their own personalities. And I love that, because you can sit back and you can go, am I a chipmunk? Am I a raccoon? Am I a squirrel? I don't know. I'm going to fess up and say I'm probably most like the raccoons. Just going to name that right here. And then after the animals that have celebrated and whatnot, we have Grandfather and Charlie and all of the people, right? And the animals aren't so sure what's going on with this, and yet somehow, despite their differences, the differences between the different kinds of animals and the differences between the people, they are able to create a space where the gifts, skills, and personalities of each group are welcomed and embraced, and everybody is excited about this place. It is a beautiful thing. And then we remember. And then we remember that community is a hard thing, because we have to work together, and we have to seek each other and the differences in the personalities, and that it gets even harder to be community when we experience trauma. In the book, Grandfather dies, and the tree dies and is marked for removal. And the first instinct of the animals, the first instinct perhaps of the people too, we don't quite know that, but I think it is our first instinct often as well, is to circle the wagons and to close down the community and say, I don't know what's going on here, but it's definitely not good. This is not a good thing. But those groups who love that tree know that they can do better. right? And the raccoons, they come up with a plan. Those raccoons, they're smart, right? They come up with a plan, and each of those animal groups go and they find a different kind of people to rally around this community that they have, to rally around this tree, to continue to act and to show love and to be able to do it together. And they do. What a beautiful book, right? So the text that I have paired with this book comes from John 13, and what I like about this pairing is that the people around the forever tree experience trauma, and in John 13, Jesus is preparing the disciples for their own version of trauma. Jesus is telling them that this thing is going to happen, and he doesn't quite spell it out, I'm leaving you, and you can't follow me, and the disciples aren't sure what that's all about, but essentially, Jesus is preparing them for the crucifixion. Jesus is saying, I am going to be gone, and yet you have created this community. You've become a part of this thing, and I need you to know that it continues even when I am not here. Now, this concept could perhaps not be any more traumatic for the disciples because they've been following Jesus around, right? We talked about this last week. They have dedicated their lives, leaving family and friends behind to follow Jesus across the countryside. Some of them probably sustaining the community with their own means. And if Jesus is going away, what are they going to do? If Jesus is going away and they can't follow, then where does that put them? Where is their community, right? I imagine some of the disciples are like, well, so what am I going to do now, right? Am I going to go home and become crazy Uncle Peter who ran away for a couple years and now I'm back living in Mom and Dad's house so that I can rebuild my life? Like, that's not cool. What's going to happen? How do we do this? But see, the thing is that Jesus doesn't just leave. He leaves them with the lessons to continue on in faith. Jesus leaves having prepared them to know that they need to love one another because it is in that love that they will continue to be known as disciples. They will continue to be known as people of Christ. And that, I think, is our lesson in the midst of John 13 and in the midst of the forever tree. The tree grows out of love. We are known as Christians by our love, and so even in the midst of ongoing global trauma, because that's what this is, we are known by our love, not by closing in and saying, community is done, folks, we're going home, but by saying that we love one another and we can show that love in a variety of ways. It may be that we show our love through continuing to grow vegetable upon vegetable upon vegetable. And I'm sure Dawn is going to tell us how many tomatoes they harvested this week, eventually. Right? We can show our love through that way. We can show our love through baby handbells and percussion instruments when we can't sing of our love. We can show our love by reaching out and saying to one another that life matters. And we may not be able to safely join one another in all of life's experiences yet. But we can say that the fact that others are around us matters. We can say that we are a community even if we can't be in the same building all the time. And so, we continue to be the community of faith. We continue to be the community of love that reaches out and shows God's love, God's life to all people. So this day, let us be that people, the people who are known by our love, who are known for the community that we create, who are known because we gather together in person and virtually, that we may all show the love of God, that we may find the people that need to be invited in. Bring the architects, bring the artists, bring the engineers to keep this forever tree forever. But above all, let us bring the love of God together so that all may know that they are welcome in this community. Amen.